billionaire prince vowed revenge. But one kiss rekindled a love he couldn't destroy. In the heart of Italy, where ancient cities whisper secrets of love and betrayal, a billionaire prince vowed revenge against the woman who broke him. But fate had other plans: one kiss, one forgotten letter, and a love that refused to die. This is a story of shattered hearts, old promises, and a romance born again beneath the endless Italian sky. You're watching Timeline Stories, and trust me, this one will leave you breathless. The soft glow of twilight spilled over the ancient city of Milan, bathing its cobblestone streets in hues of orange and gold. The iconic spires of Duomo di Milano pierced the evening sky as lovers and strangers filled the piazza below. Among them, one man stood apart, cold, distant, his heart long turned to stone. Leonardo Vittori, heir to the Vittori dynasty, one of Italy's oldest and wealthiest families, was known across Europe not only for his unimaginable fortune, but for his ruthless nature. In the world of high-stakes business, Leonardo was a prince untouchable, dangerous, and consumed by one obsession: revenge. A betrayal from years ago still bled in his memory. The girl he had once sworn to love forever, the only woman who had ever touched the fragile parts of his soul, had vanished on the night he needed her most, leaving behind nothing but a letter and a shattered man. Her name was Elena Russo. The very mention of it was enough to set his blood ablaze. And now, after 8 years of silence, she had returned. Elena stood by the Navili canals, her reflection trembling in the water as boats gently rocked against their moorings. The soft sound of laughter and violin music drifted from nearby cafes, a melody of memories she could neither escape nor erase. She wasn't the same girl who had left Milan 8 years ago. Back then, she'd been a dreamer with stars in her eyes, a painter who believed love could heal even the deepest wounds. She and Leonardo had grown up together in the narrow alleys of Brera, under the wide, endless Italian sky. Their love had been innocent, reckless, and breathtaking until the night everything fell apart. Until a lie, a cruel manipulation, and a family secret tore them apart. "I'm not here to stay," she whispered to herself, "just to make things right." But fate, as always, had other plans. The Grand Opera House, Teatro alla Scala, was alive with light and color. Dignitaries, aristocrats, and business magnates filled the hall, draped in elegance and centuries-old tradition. And at its center sat Leonardo Vittori, dark hair slicked back, his sharp jawline tense, his eyes scanning the room like a predator. He wasn't there for the opera. He was there for her. Word had reached him that Elena Russo had returned to Milan, working as a freelance artist, restoring murals in old cathedrals, and tonight she was painting the set design for the opera's final act. When he finally saw her, a flash of dark hair, those haunting hazel eyes, time slowed. Memories crashed into him like a storm. The stolen kisses under the olive trees of Lake Como, the whispered dreams in abandoned chapels, the promises made under midnight skies. But where there was once warmth, now only fury remained. "You shouldn't have come back," Leonardo growled, cornering her backstage. Elena stiffened, her brush trembling in her hand. "I didn't come for you, Leo. You broke me, Elena. I had no choice." The ache in their voices was the same. And though anger warred with longing in his chest, Leonardo knew one thing: his heart had never fully let her go. The next evening, by cruel coincidence or divine fate, they met again in Bellagio, a jewel of a town on the shores of Lake Como. Elena was there finishing a commission, while Leonardo, driven by an emotion he refused to name, arrived with the intent of ending this ghost of the past once and for all. But the lake's beauty, the memories of youth, and the quiet ache between them softened the walls they'd built. "Do you remember this place?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I remember everything. The air grew heavy, thick with unsaid words. And when the first star appeared in the indigo sky, something broke. Leonardo took her face in his hands, fury forgotten, and kissed her. It wasn't soft. It was years of pain, betrayal, longing, and desperate love poured into one reckless moment. And when he pulled away, his voice cracked. I wanted to hate you forever. I wanted you to. Elena couldn't breathe. The kiss had unlocked a floodgate she'd fought so hard to keep sealed. His hands, rough yet trembling, still lingered against her face. And in those storm-gray eyes, she saw a boy she once knew, and the man he'd become. But she couldn't afford to fall. Not again. I shouldn't have let you find me, she whispered, turning away toward the moonlit lake. The waters of Como shimmered like liquid silver. Then why did you? Leonardo's voice was low, jagged. Why come back, Elena, after everything, after leaving me, to believe you betrayed me for money, for my father's enemies? She swallowed hard. The words lodged in her throat for 8 years burned against her tongue now. Because there's something you never knew, she said, her voice trembling, and you deserve the truth. The next morning, they met at the old church in Santa Maria delle Grazie, Milan, the very place where, years ago, they had sworn eternal love beneath the shadow of Da Vinci's Last Supper. Elena carried a small, weathered box. Inside it lay letters unopened, yellowed with age. Your father, he threatened my family, Leo. She finally confessed, tears in her eyes. He made me leave. Said if I didn't disappear, something would happen to my brother. And when I tried to reach you, he intercepted everything. Leonardo's blood ran cold. His father, ruthless, proud Giovanni Vittori, had ruled their world with an iron fist, but he'd never imagined the man capable of this. His hands trembled as he picked up one letter after another, reading words his heart had ached to hear years ago. I waited for you. I never stopped loving you. Guilt, rage, and sorrow twisted in Leonardo's chest. He's gone now, Elena. His voice cracked. I should have known. I should have fought for you. Elena's restoration work took her next to Florence, the cradle of Renaissance art and beauty. Leonardo followed. Matt. He told himself it was business, that the new Vittori resort project near Ponte Vecchio needed his attention. But the truth lay in hazel eyes and soft laughter that haunted his every waking moment. And so, in the winding alleys of Florence, beneath stone archways and starry skies, the walls between them crumbled. They shared stolen glances across crowded piazzas, quiet conversations in forgotten cafes. The ache between them softened, and for the first time in years, Leonardo laughed a deep, unguarded sound Elena hadn't heard since they were 18. On the night of the city's famous Festa di San Giovanni, as fireworks lit up the sky, Leonardo pulled her close by the Arno River. I never stopped loving you, he murmured against her hair. And when their lips met again, it wasn't driven by fury or grief. It was soft, full of promises neither dared speak aloud. But life is never kind to those who love too deeply. A week later, Elena received a call that made her heart stop. Giovanni Vittori's last will and testament had a secret clause. One that named Elena as the rightful owner of several properties in Milan, including the old Brera estate, where she and Leonardo had first fallen in love. The revelation sent shockwaves through Milan's elite. Whispers of scandal, betrayal, and old grudges surfaced like ghosts. Leonardo, furious at his father's manipulations, even from the grave, felt his fragile reconciliation with Elena slip like sand through his fingers. Why didn't you tell me, he demanded, the hurt raw in his voice. I didn't know. I never wanted his money, Leo. The past threatened to tear them apart once more. In a desperate attempt to escape the suffocating city, Elena fled to Verona, the city of Romeo and Juliet. She sought solace in the ancient streets, aching for a love that seemed cursed by fate itself. But Leonardo wouldn't lose her again. On the steps of Casa di Giulietta, beneath of Juliet's famed balcony, he found her. No words this time. He dropped to his knees, his voice breaking as he spoke. I loved you when I believed you betrayed me. I loved you when I hated you, and I'll love you for the rest of my life, even if you never forgive me. Elena's tears fell freely. I never stopped, Leo. And in front of dozens of tourists and locals, the billionaire prince and the girl who once painted the sky sealed their fate with a kiss under Verona's endless sky. After Verona, there was nowhere left to run. Elena knew if their love had any chance of surviving the shadows of their past, it needed to face the darkest parts head-on. And so, she agreed to meet Leonardo one final time, not in a city of old wounds, but somewhere untouched by their history. The Amalfi Coast, where the cliffs kissed the sea and the sunsets bled like spilled wine into the horizon. They stayed in Ravello, a quiet town perched above the waves, its air heavy with the scent of lemons and the sound of distant church bells. In a secluded villa overlooking the endless blue, Leonardo laid bare the last secret he'd kept buried. I blamed you because it was easier than blaming him, he confessed, his voice rough with regret. My father shaped me into a man I swore I'd never be. Cold, calculating. I hurt people because it was the only way I knew to protect myself after you left. Elena's heart ached, not just for the boy she loved, but the man he'd become in her absence. You never stopped being good, Leo. You just forgot how to show it. And in that soft summer night, with the sea humming below them, and the stars spread like scattered diamonds, they made love for the first time in 8 years. It wasn't like before, frantic and young. It was slow, desperate, healing. Every kiss an apology, every touch a promise. And when dawn broke over the water, neither spoke a word because they both knew what they wanted now wasn't revenge. It was forever. But fate wasn't finished testing them yet. A final piece of Giovanni Vittori's will surfaced in Sicily, where the Vittori family estate stood abandoned atop a cliffside in Tau Ormina. Leonardo had spent years avoiding the place. It held too many memories of his mother's sadness and his father's cruelty. But this time, Elena came with him. They walked the dusty halls together through faded portraits, forgotten letters, and a library of secrets. And in one leather-bound journal, Leonardo found it. His mother's diary. Page after page of her love for a man she was never allowed to be with, and her quiet knowledge of Giovanni's schemes to keep her prisoner in a life she despised. And in those pages, the truth about Elena's exile was confirmed. Giovanni had orchestrated everything, the lies, the threats, even planting evidence to make it seem like Elena had betrayed the family to their business rivals. Tears burned Leonardo's eyes as he read. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, pulling Elena into his arms. "It wasn't your fault," she said, but they both knew forgiveness wasn't just for Giovanni's sins. It was for the years they'd lost to anger and pain. They buried the past together that day, literally. Beneath the old olive tree overlooking the sea, Leonardo laid the diary, his father's letters, and the broken pieces of their past to rest. "This ends here," he swore. A year later, the world spoke Leonardo Vittori's name not with fear, but with awe. The billionaire prince had transformed selling the coldest parts of his empire and dedicating his fortune to restoring art, music, and ancient places across Italy. And at his side, always, was Elena Russo. Don't dash your stem. They married in Positano, the tiny cliffside town where colorful houses clung to the rocks like flowers in bloom. There were no billionaires, no cameras, Just close friends, villagers, and the priest from the little church where Elena used to light candles as a child. She wore a simple ivory gown. He wore a suit with a sprig of olive branch pinned to his lapel, the same tree where they buried the ghosts of their past. "I vow to love you," Leonardo whispered as he slid the ring onto her finger. "Not just in perfect moments, but in the terrible ones too. I vow to never run, to never shut you out, and to fight for us, even when it's hard." Elena's voice shook as she spoke her own vows. "I promise to remind you that you are good, that you are worthy of every light in the sky, that you were never your father's shadow, you've always been my son." And when they kissed, the entire church burst into applause. Somewhere outside, a violin played, and the Italian skies stretched endlessly overhead. No longer burdened by revenge, no longer broken by the past, but whole, together. Finally. And so, two hearts, torn apart by lies and time, found their way back to each other where the past could no longer reach them. Because when love is real, not even fate can keep it buried forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless love stories from around the world. This is Timeless Stories, where emotions live and love never fades. Ancient Nanchai.